Key signatures don't have to be mysterious, and Giuseppe Tartini, founder of the Romantic School of Music, began this lesson by announcing that he could teach everything that there is to know about playing the violin in 2 weeks. He would then smile at his astonished students and add, "The rest is practice." To emphasize this, he proclaimed, "To be a great violinist, you must place all of your fingers in the correct positions at all times." It took him about 7 seconds to make the statement, yet it takes most violinists a lifetime to achieve it. Tartini knew this, and he would proceed by leaning forward and whispering one of the simplest yet most profound secrets about learning how to play the violin. Knowledge first, then practice. He would then have his students make their next set of flashcards, knowing that after this single lesson, they would forever understand every major key signature, what each one means, and how to properly place their fingers in each and every one, no matter how many sharps or flats were in them. Different key signatures exist in order to allow us to move a song higher or lower to match a certain voice or another instrument, or, especially for the violin, to help set the mood, because each one with their different sharps and flats really does sound different on a fine violin. Various songs have been used for this lesson over the years, and since Happy Birthday is and has been one of the happiest and most recognized tunes in the world for over 100 years, I've decided to update Tartini's lesson once again. After all, the ultimate goal of playing the violin is happiness, even when playing the blues. Tartini was known as a serious teacher and master at the Romantic School of Music, yet he would also caution students to remember the words of Gaspar de Salo, the first master luthier, whenever they would become frustrated. Never commit suicide. It eliminates all possibilities of an encore. There really is a good reason to smile right now, because even though this lesson was originally taught over 300 years ago, it still has the ability to cut the stress level and the learning curve of almost any student in half. Tartini's second set of flashcards truly are magical, because while the first set shows us the names of all the notes in the first position, this second set shows us where to place our fingers for any note, in any song, and in any key signature. For instance, Happy Birthday has 1 sharp, and if we remember the names of the notes from the first set of flashcards, the key signature flashcard with 1 sharp will show us where to place our fingers. The first thing that you should notice about Happy Birthday, when compared to first song, is that there's now a sharp on the top line of the staff. As you learned from the first set of flashcards, that top line represents the note F, and that means that Happy Birthday is played in the key of G. But what does that mean? Why is F the first sharp, and why does that make it the key of G? And here we go. In the tradition of Giuseppe Tartini, all of the major keys, both sharps and flats, as well as where to place your fingers in all of the positions. Everything all at once, before you ever begin putting your fingers on the strings. When we play any major scale, we're actually skipping some of the half steps, or what are called semitones, along the way, in order to make the music sound right. It's the reason why pianos have white keys and black keys, and why violinists have to use different finger patterns in different keys on different strings and in different positions. Because if we play all of the notes, it's called a chromatic scale. And a chromatic scale has a sound all its own. So we skip certain notes to give the music character and different flavors. In The Sound of Music, Julie Andrews sang to the children, "When you read, you begin with A, B, C. When you sing, you begin with Do, Re, Mi. Remember? Do, Re, Mi, Fa, Sol, La, Ti, Do." The first thing to remember when playing the violin is that if you're going to use letters, which most of us do, the alphabet no longer begins with ABC. It now begins with CDE, and it ends with FGAB. You may wonder why, but in just a few minutes, it will all make sense if we take that confusing F sharp away and start all over again at the very beginning. Once again, the musician's alphabet starts with the note C and the key of C, which has no sharps or flats. The piano has always been the best way to visualize the different key signatures, especially the key of C, because the white keys are the key of C. The black keys are simply the half steps that get skipped along the way. What makes learning to play any song on the piano or the violin so much easier is to play the scale first, starting on the name of the scale. In other words, if you're playing in the key of C, start playing the scale on the note C. If the key is G, start on the note G. Because if we do, all of the sharp and flat major scales skip the same half steps in the same places along the way, and it forms a pattern. Whole step, half step. Whole step, half step. Once you memorize this one simple pattern, and remember that everything starts with the key of C, you will be able to figure out all of the major key signatures and where to place your fingers. Really. Whole step, half step. Whole step, half step. Or if you prefer the shorter version, as most violinists do, whole, half, whole, half. Hopefully, this helps you understand why there are 2 black keys here, 3 black keys here, and why the pattern repeats itself across the keyboard with each new C. Sharps and flats are never mixed in a key signature. There will either be sharps or there will be flats. And the nice thing is that they always get added in the same order. Happy Birthday has 1 sharp. So let's start with the key signatures that have sharps in them. Starting with the key of C, we add F sharp, and that means that we're playing in the key of G. Then add C sharp, and we're playing in the key of, oh, hold it. You promised that we would understand it. The word understand is even in the title below this video. And so it is. How do we know that the first sharp is going to be F? and that it means we're playing in the key of G, or that the first flat will be B, and that it means that we'll be playing in the key of F. Yet, this confusing memorization is how most violinists learn their key signatures, and it is confusing, unless you understand why. And Giuseppe Tartini discovered a game to make it simple, even for beginners. His secret, once you know your first set of flashcards, is to look at the violin sideways. The key of C, once again, has no sharps or flats. And if we begin playing our scale on C and follow the whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half pattern, everything works out and sounds correct. Now remember that sharps make the pitch go up. So if there's one sharp in the key signature, move your finger up. But instead of moving your finger up on the same string, move it sideways up one string. In other words, keep your third finger in the same position and move it sideways to the next higher string. And the third finger on the D string is G, which means that one sharp will be the key of G. And since we're now in the key of G, the scale starts on G. And in order to follow the same pattern, whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half, we have to make the natural F, or F natural, into an F sharp. If we do play a scale starting with G, or change the pitch of a song from C to G without changing the F natural to an F sharp, it sounds like this. So let's play the F sharp again, and this time start on the G that has the same pitch as the violin G string, since the pattern is the same, no matter what octave it is. Violin strings are tuned in perfect fifths, and that's what makes learning key signatures so easy for violinists. In fact, the first 4 sharp key signatures are G, D, A, E. Yet piano players can also find out what the next key signature is by simply moving up 7 half steps for each additional sharp. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. If another sharp is added, go sideways again, and we're in the key of D. So start the scale on D, and in order to follow the pattern, F remains sharp and C becomes C sharp. So if there are 2 sharps, they will be F and C in that order, and we'll be playing in the key of D. Since the key of D has two sharps, if we add another sharp, move sideways again from the open D string to the open A string, which means that we're now playing in the key of A. And if we start on A and remember the pattern, whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half, whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half, we know what the correct spacing between our fingers should be and why G is and has to be the third sharp. Looking at the key signatures from another direction, or as some might say, as a shortcut, because the pattern is always the same, and it's always the next to the last note that needs to be made sharp for the pattern to be correct, the name of any sharp key signature is the next note higher than the last sharp. Four sharps means the key of E by adding D sharp. Five sharps means the key of B by adding A sharp. Even though there are no more black keys, we can go to the next key signature by using the F natural key as an E sharp. Move sideways from B to F, and 6 sharps means that we'll be playing in the key of F sharp by making the E naturals into E sharps. And it's called the key of F sharp instead of the key of F, because we start playing the scale on F sharp instead of F natural. Move up sideways from F sharp to C sharp, and with 7 sharps, we're playing in the key of C sharp. And with this, you've now learned what all of the major key signatures with sharps in them really are. And more importantly, where the spaces are whole steps or half steps between your fingers. But wait, there's more. And even if you don't quite get it yet, stay with me, because after 30 more seconds, it's about to get a whole lot simpler. Even though we started in the key of C and added all 7 sharps in the proper order, we're still missing some scales and key signatures. And 2 of them are the most wonderful of all. Yet, if we were to move sideways up one more time and try to play a scale called G sharp major, we would have to make F double sharp, which can really get messy and confusing. And that's why we have flats, to help keep it simple. We start with the key of C again. Oh, doesn't that look nice? And with each additional flat, we move sideways down across the strings. Which means that with one flat, we will be playing in the key of F. Start on F while remembering whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half, and we'll have to lower the note B 1/2 step in order to follow the pattern. Move sideways down across the strings again, and 2 flats means that we will be playing in the key of B flat. Start on B, and E must become flat for the pattern to be correct. We move sideways down 5 more times using the exact same technique. And when we reach the key of C flat, all the major key signatures have been covered, sharp and flat. And with it, the ability to play any scale or piece with the proper pattern, while matching any voice range, any instrument, and especially with the violin, any mood. Yes, you eventually need to memorize all of the key signatures, and the flashcards will really help. But by using this system first, you will understand why the different key signatures exist and what they all mean. At the end of this lesson, Tartini would point out that the only difference between the major scales and minor scales is the pattern of the whole steps and half steps going up and coming down. And he announced that his students were then ready to begin putting their fingers down on the strings. Paganini learned and used all of the secrets of Tartini, and later added his own to the Romantic School of Music's repertoire. The foundation of Paganini's statement, "There is only one position and there is only one scale," originates from observing that any scale in any key signature, sharp or flat, can be played with the exact same finger pattern if you simply begin playing each of the scales with the same finger. And when you do, he stated, that it will begin opening your eyes to an entirely new world of possibilities. But for now, whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. Start in the key of C and the note C, and then go sideways for all the answers that you need to get started.